Let's get this ball rolling. So today we will be doing our one of our interview preparation sessions for our World of Work program. Of course, students, remember that the program is sponsored by Republic Bank. So Republic Bank works in partnership with us, and they do this every year. So this is made possible by Republic Bank. This is the third session, but it's our first interview preparation session. So if you did not participate in the resume writing sessions, please remember that we are going to load those videos up on the My Learning website, and we are also going to put it on the departmental website, that's the DSSD Careers and Placement website, where you will be required to view it. And remember, you must view it to collect the gems for those activities. So today we are going to do our session on interview preparation. We have 3 sessions on interview preparation. One will be a general preparing for the interview. We're going to have one on handling interview anxiety, dealing with interview anxiety. And today we are going to start you off with getting that wardrobe ready for the interview session. So a couple reminders before we get into the session. If you are attending the sessions but have not registered for the World of Work program, we need you to go in and register, because that's the only way we'll be able to send you timely and relevant updates. You will also get updates on the marketing website. Via marketing emails, you'll get updates on our website. But our emails usually come before everything else. So we want you to go ahead and register so you can get all the information. If we have any sessions upcoming, we'll send you those emails when you're registered. If we have any promotions for giveaways, definitely those will be emails. So you want to go ahead and register on the website. You can check in the chat and you will see the registration link being posted there. If you have attended the resume writing session, remember that's the general sessions, you should now be moving into getting your resumes critiqued. Now, usually we would have these large sessions in rooms on campus on a face-to-face basis, one-on-one critiques. But we'll still be doing that, but we'll be doing that virtually this time. So you can have a one-on-one critique, and we are also organizing some group sessions. That information will also be placed in the chat. So it's very important that after the resume writing session, you have your resume critiqued. And then after the critiques, that's when you submit it to us, because that resume you submit to us, that's going to be the resume that we share. So you want to ensure you have someone look at it a second time for you, yes? So that link is going to be placed in the chat as well. Remember to follow us on all the social media platforms, the Facebook, Instagram as well. And also look for the posts on the marketing Facebook site as well. We'll be posting information up there on the sessions, how you can collect your gems, and when we'll be having bonus sessions so that you can get your bonus gems. Now remember, after the session, you'll have a Q&A. So as the presenters go through their information, you want to be writing down those burning questions that you want to ask, or that you've been meaning to ask for a while. And you're going to finally get the opportunity here. We have 2 very, very experienced professionals that have taken their time to come here and impart some information to you that's going to catapult you straight into that interview room, and then a hop, skip, and jump into the workplace if you follow the information. Yes? So I want you all to be listening. I want you to be writing the questions and get ready to bombard them with those questions. We were talking to them before. They are very excited to do this again. So I'm going to introduce the 2 presenters. and then they are going to present one after the other. And then we are going to have our question and answer. Our first presenter is Miss Amanda Lewis, a wide-eyed student and eager professional to a teary-eyed, frustrated job seeker, to a four-eyed, enlightened with purpose millennial. This was the journey of Amanda Lewis. It was during her own period of unemployment where Ms. Lewis decided to utilize her skills to benefit others. Her business, Phoenix Transformations Career Counseling, was born through research, practice, and faith. Amanda's mission is to empower and promote self-mastery among students, job seekers, entry-level employees, and anyone doubtful of their abilities. Amanda draws from years of professional and personal experiences to customize transformative career development sessions done either one-on-one or in workshop formats. She focuses on job search techniques, resume and cover letter writing, job interview training, personal branding, image management, and entrepreneurship. Amanda holds a degree in communication studies with sociology and a master's in human communications from the best university south of the border, the University of the West Indies. Her background is career guidance, content development, corporate events and storytelling, brand management, client relations, and education. Professionally, Amanda is the owner of 2 businesses. She serves in many professional organizations, such as More Girls Global, director of IC90's Charity Foundation, a member of HERMAT, and leader of corporate services of Mastermind Leaders, to name a few. She will be coming to you in a couple of minutes to present. That's Miss Amanda Lewis. Our second presenter, who will be focusing on the young men in our presence today, is Mr. Jason Jack. Jason Jack is a professional, engaging, and dynamic learning and development specialist, perfecting his craft through his over 19 years experience as a former national training coordinator, lecturer, workshop facilitator, and corporate trainer. As the principal consultant and managing director of Quintessential Training Solutions, Jason has designed, developed, and delivered numerous content-rich and industry-specific workshops and seminars to numerous SMEs and large corporations in both the public and the private sectors. His dynamic, engaging, and interactive delivery style is a direct result of his many experiences gained from over 29 years of progressive corporate exposure and multi-sector experience in the financial, marine, tourism, education, telecommunications, regulatory, and social service delivery sectors. He has gained significant experience in accounting, finance, payroll administration, procurement, facilities management, grant administration, community relations, and organizational development. As a proud UWI alumni, again, students, hint, hint, Jason continues to champion the philosophy of continuous and lifelong learning as he continues to impact the upskilling, talent management, and human development efforts of his clients and their respective organizations. So students, I hope you all are as excited as I am. I am reading the bios and I'm like, let me get my pen to begin some note taking. So without further ado, because I know you all don't want to hear anything else from me, I'm going to turn you over to the first presenter who will be presenting on professional attire for young ladies, Miss Amanda Lewis. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Kathy. Thank you for that lovely introduction. You know, guys, we have a rich history, so it's always a pleasure being introduced by another Lewis, right? So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, students, and thank you for joining in this evening. Before I get into the presentation, let me please say Happy International Men Day for the young men in the audience this afternoon, of course, you know, so yes, I'm representing the ladies, but I just want to make mention of that, right? So ladies, without further ado, let's get into the presentation. How do we dress professionally, right? Of course, we have to acknowledge that the way we dress for school, the way we dressed on campus when we were free to walk around, is not the way we'll be dressing for corporate world, for the interview, etc. So let's get into what clothes actually communicates, right? Bearing in mind that everything, every accessory, every color, every garment that we put on communicates something. It communicates our credibility. In a professional setting, we have to make sure that we dress in a way that we come across as a credible speaker, as someone who knows what they're about and what they're talking about. Dress or clothes communicate confidence. How confident we are, we would be able to tell based on what you have on, based on how you carry it, based on your body language with your clothes. It really communicates your confidence level. And of course, your personality. So we may pick a certain color, we may have a certain way of doing things. Dress, clothes communicate our personality. So once we could remember these 3 points, we'll be able to know how we're going to bring these into the professional arena as we go on for interviews and as we dress for the workplace. I like to use this neat formula, if you may call it this, for presenting on dressing for the workplace. And I call it the ABCs of professional interview clothing. A is for audit. We'll get into what each means shortly. B, of course, is for your body type. And C, we know it's for your color choices and comfort. So the first thing we want to encourage you guys to do, please audit your wardrobe. You will have certain colors in there, certain type of clothes, certain fabrics. Audit it and pull out what is professional. You need to really separate the two. You have your casual wear and you have your professional wear. Make sure to do an audit on your wardrobe. Your attire must be appropriate to the industry that you're seeking to enter into, right? So of course we know, yes, we have corporate jobs and then we have the more industrial jobs, but make sure your wardrobe is suited for the industry that you're going into. Your outfits, it must be clean. This is a given, guys. It must be pressed and neat. And yes, you will have it neat and nice in your wardrobe, but make sure every time that you are called for an interview that you have to put these clothes on, that it appears neat, clean, and pressed on your body. And of course, the fabric should be able to keep its shape. Very, very important. Not all fabric does us justice, so to speak. So it might look very well when we see it in the store, right? Because they press it. And then when we take it home and we sit, and in one turn or twist, you see in the wrinkles. Be very mindful of your fabric choices, ladies. Yeah? So the B now, we're gonna, before I get into B actually, let me just give some examples of professional clothing, right? Based on what females would wear for an interview. When we're talking about shirt or blouse, we wanna make sure that you stay away from patterns and loud prints. The reason why you do not want that to be the attention grabber, you are coming into an interview to sell your skills and anything else that would distract the interviewer is not going to do you any justice, even if you like prints and bold colors and you think that's part of your personality. So I want you all to kind of bear that in mind. And this is especially for going into an interview. Make sure that you keep it solid. Solid is the best, safest bet. Observe your neckline for your shirts and blouses, ladies. Very, very important, especially when we talk about body type necks. For ladies who are a bit more well endowed, be very mindful of how your clothes fits and how low the neckline is when you are attending an interview. Fabric, chiffon, sheer, sequins. I know it may sound ridiculous that I'm even saying this, but this just serves as a reminder. Stay away from those material, your cotton, your Tetrex, linen suits. That will work fine for the interview. When we get down into dress and skirts, I highly recommend wearing dresses with sleeves. And it doesn't have to be long sleeves, 3/4 or even a cap sleeve is more appropriate. And I will even add, it's best to add on a blazer with your dress. It really gives it that polished, finished look. Yeah. Remember, when you're going into an interview, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to make an impression. We're not talking about when you already get the job and you observe the culture of the organization and the way everyone else dresses. We're talking about you making an impression, and the first impression, as we know, is very important. Pencil, in terms of skirts now, pencil and A-line skirts are recommended as the best type that you use for an interview, but of course be mindful of the length of your skirt. I remember growing up in primary school, we had this test where we would stand and we had to put our hands down. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but all I know, if it is your hands longer than your skirt, your skirt is too short, right? So maybe we'll get into that conversation after, but please be mindful of the length of your skirt and of course your dress. When you are wearing pants, stay away from the skinny pants, even if it's a skinny soft pants. You are supposed to, for an interview, boot cut or straight cut pants, tailor made. And it can be solid or a light pinstripe. Yeah, that's allowed once it's nothing too loud, too distracting to your interviewer. In terms of your jackets and blazers, again, make sure that you have it pressed perfectly before the night before. Make sure that there's no fancy necklines or designs, anything that is going to, draw attention to what you're wearing more than what is coming out of your mouth. Make sure that it's a solid color or again, a light pinstripe. And if of course you're wearing pinstripe, you can have a suit, pinstripe pants, pinstripe jackets. That is fine with a plain solid color blouse inside. So let me show you some examples here. Skirts, and these are going into colors as well, right? You notice the colors that are more toned down, the grays, navy blues. You have the white or the beige in a piece, right? The pants are tapered to the bottom. If you have a dress, you're seeing a sleeve, 3/4 sleeve. So this is just These are just some examples rather of what you aim to include in your wardrobe as your interview wear. So take note of this, ladies. And of course, you could continue your research after the presentation. So B, body type. Something that we take for granted, in my opinion, still in Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies, something may look very lovely on a mannequin, but let's be real. Most times when you see a mannequin, it's a size 3, size 4 mannequin. The mannequin is not even representing the majority of sizes that are represented in Trinidad and Tobago. So when you're buying clothes, yes, you will go to get your size, but make sure to try it on and make sure it fits you well. It complements your body type. Nothing that is going to be too tight, that if you breathe too hard, it's going to rip. Or if you breathe too hard, you know, you're going to see the strain in your face in the interview. Yeah, nothing too loose, that it would look like you borrowed this clothes to come to the interview. These are just things you have to bear in mind. I always recommend persons, especially as you all in finally and you're going to start to interview more often, invest in your interview kit. If you cannot afford, see if it will be cheaper option for you to get a seamstress to make a jacket or make a pants for you, and you have that for your interview kit. It's okay if you attend all interviews with that, but make sure that you have something that fits you well, complements your body type, and you feel confident and comfortable in it. So this is just a display of the body types. Again, I'm encouraging you guys today, please go up and do your own research. If you don't know where you fall, if you're a triangle or hourglass or a rectangle, do your research, look at yourself, and really start to pattern your wardrobe based on your body type. The C of dressing professionally for the workplace, color and comfort. Just as I mentioned before, navy blue, black, and gray. 3 colors highly recommended for your outer pieces. And when I say outer pieces, your jackets, your pants, your skirts, and even your dresses, right? It's okay to have white and beige and different shades of gray for your inner pieces, for your inner blouse. But the main pieces, navy blue, black, gray. I say this is the safest color for interviews. Aim for comfort, guys. As I mentioned before, too tight or too loose is going to distract you. When you are distracted or you're feeling self-conscious and shaking and trying to find, you know, a position, the interviewer is going to pick up. And then it's going to add to your anxiety, right? You're not able to focus on your responses because you're so conscious, you're wondering if anybody's seeing how uncomfortable you are. So be very mindful of that, please. Dress classy. Yes, we all have a personal sense of style. We want to express ourselves and express our brand, but you have to keep it classy. Know that it's all about the context. You're in an interview, you need to make it highly professional, create a good impression. You're a classy young lady, and not only classy, but you're qualified. You are ready for the job. So we spoke a bit about clothes, but let's talk about the normal grooming for us females. Let me start with hair and makeup. Now, hair is a pretty big factor for us ladies, especially where we use our hairstyles to express ourselves, right? In the interview, you want to make sure that it is something not too loud. It's very toned down. So I recommend, no matter what type of hair you have, you pull it in a 1 where the interviewer is able to see, interviewer or interviewers is able to see your face. Like, for example, I would not go to an interview with this hairstyle because it is covering part of my face, right? You need to just be mindful of that. In terms of the hair color, Again, we know color is a form of expression, but be very mindful of the colors you choose to put in your hair. And yes, you may get an interview today. I mean, call for an interview today and it's for tomorrow, and your hair is in a aquamarine with hints of aquamarine. You may be wondering, how do I remedy that? Still find a way where you could pull it to the back so that it is not loud. You're trying to keep the attention on the words that are coming out of your mouth more than your hair and everything else that is distracting you on your outer body. In terms of makeup, again, please stay away from the lipsticks. I will say if you have to put on lipstick, use a nude color, but I recommend just putting on some lip balm. Nude lips, it's perfect, right? Eyeshadow and all of the extra eyelashes and whatnot. Please, ladies, again, context, time and place. Interview, you want to focus on you, what you have to offer. In terms of jewelry, I highly recommend using stud earrings. Maybe I'm a bit too old school, but when I see young ladies going to interviews with hoops, I cringe a little bit. Yes, it doesn't, what you wear doesn't imply or say what you can do, but you are making impressions. It is your responsibility to keep it very mellow, very professional at the interview. What you do after you get the job is between you and your employer and your organizational culture. But for the interview where you're making a first impression, keep it mellow. So earrings, I would say a nice little stopper earring. I will not recommend chains at all, necklaces at all. Just a nice earring and a watch if you must wear a watch, right? In terms of nails, again, keep it clean, keep it, for those of you who like the extra nails, make sure that it's not too distracting. Again, please make sure it's not too distracting because they are going to start to form impressions about you before you get a chance to prove yourself and your experience and your abilities. So mellow. Stockings. Now, this is a bit of a argument I have with my colleagues. A lot of young ladies don't wear stockings anymore, and they say that's for the older heads. I will definitely say it finishes off your look. When you have on a skirt and a dress, stockings really look polished. And in some places, in some industries, like it's mandatory. So I know if I'm seeing a lawyer, I don't ever see them walking around without stockings, right? Most times they wear pants, but if it is they do wear skirts, you see stockings. So you have to really decide if it's appropriate for your industry and make sure it adds to your outfit, to your dress or to your skirt. In terms of shoes now, even though some organizations will say you are allowed to wear open toe shoes, I still cringe at that because I believe you want to be as modest as possible. I say go, the safest way to go, closed toe shoes, pumps for the interview or ballet flats, right? Open toe, again, that's for probably on a Friday or probably, you know, when you don't get into the culture of an organization. But for the interview, all the way, closed toe shoes. Now, I know I said a handful, but I just want to remind you guys, because of this pandemic, our whole interviewing experience has changed. A lot is going to be online. Just a tip to leave with you guys. Please remember, even though you're going to only see head to probably upper chest, dress completely for the interview if you have a virtual interview. It is going to put you in that frame of mind. It is going to remind you that it's a serious business and you are at an actual face-to-face interview. Do not wear, you know, we see a lot of videos now because of the Zoom sessions, everybody, we're professional to the top with our boxers or shorts to the bottom. Please, guys, you need to really, mentally, you need to set yourself up. So remember to dress fully, even though you're not showing your entire body. And these are just my parting points for you as well. pay attention to the company's culture. I cannot stress this enough. If you really have doubts or you have no experience of seeing what persons wear, call and find out. But always, always dress professionally and dress for your industry. Stick with the recommended interview colors. I know some persons will tend to argue on why can't I wear, my favorite color is, let's say, pink. Why can't I wear pink, right? Again, you just want to be mellow, you want to be professional, and you want them to focus on you and not so much your exceptional sense of style and personal brand, right? Plan your outfit in advance. Very, very important. You need to plan and you need to try them on often, guys, especially if you had some wardrobe for a while. You know, we're home, we're doing online school, and we may be packing on a little bit of pounds that is, you're not seeing it generally, but when you put on the clothes, it really tells. So make sure to try on your clothes regular and secure a second option, a second outfit option. Highly recommend that. Of course, yes, you try on your outfit the night before. And when you're trying it on, you know, you take a selfie, give yourself some love, be confident, do your superwoman pose. You want to get into that zone because at that point, you are now, your dress, whatever you have on, everything you're putting forth into that interview, right? So everything needs to be in sync. How you dress, what you say, how you present yourself, your body language, etc. Right? So I'm really, really happy that you guys, I know you may have some questions, but please take them down. And I'm just gonna pass you on to Miss Lois to introduce who's going to present Mr. Jason Jack for the men's side.
Thank you so much, Amanda. That was so interesting, you know. One of my favorite colors is coral. But I guess if I'm going to an interview, I know I have to look for the navy blues and so on. And just keep it mellow, right? Excellent presentation, guys. Great questions. We are seeing the questions coming into the chat group, into the chat box. Great questions. We are recording them and we will address them at the end, as well as any other issues. I hope you all are seeing that our presenters are on point, because someone was asking, I hope she speaks about online interviews, and it wasn't a few seconds after she was on that. Yes? So without further ado, I want to hand you over to Mr. Jason Jack, who is now going to address the interview attire for our very handsome young men. Over to you, Jason.
Thank you very much, Kathy-Ann, and welcome everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. All right, for me to just share some tips with you guys as it relates to men's attire in terms of the grooming for men. All right. Okay. All right. So similar to what Amanda mentioned, of course, in job hunting, first impressions are so critical. I mean, I know we hear this cliche all the time and so on, but people do judge you based on how you look, based on how you dress, your professionalism or lack thereof. So first impressions are very important. Remember, you're marketing yourself as a product, right? And that product is yourself. I want you to think of yourself as a personal brand. Of course, we always relate to the celebrities and the different celebrities and so on that represent the brand. You need to start thinking of yourself as a brand in terms of how you present yourself to a potential employer. The first thing the employer sees when they greet you is your attire. So that is important in terms of how you dress and how you market yourself. So professionalism is paramount. Right? You should therefore make every effort to have the proper dress for the type of job that you're seeking. And we'll revisit this later on when we speak about norms in terms of different industries, different sectors. So again, the stress is based on a job that you're seeking. So there's no one size fit all in terms of dress and attire. It's different sectors, different. That's important. Right? Will dressing properly get you the job? Of course not. Right? So it's not just about dress, but of course that will assist, all right? But a competitive edge and a positive first impression, because first impression, as a matter of fact, job experts say that in the interview, it is how you are dressed that sets the tone, because that sets the entire process. So how should you dress? Therefore, make every effort to have the proper dress for the type of job, as I mentioned, that you're seeking. So of course, how you dress for an interview at a law firm is different how you dress for a job at an advertising agency. All right? Or how you would dress for a job as a warehouse supervisor or as a project manager. There are two major factors to consider as it relates to norms and also house style, right? So norms refer basically to the oughts of behavior, referred to as the common standards of social and work behavior that are expected of individuals in a group. So of course it is based on the organization. I always remember one of my early jobs, you know, when I just started working, young adult, now entering the workplace. I was working at a marine company in Chaguaramas, Institute of Marine Affairs. On my first day, of course, you know, you're very excited, very enthusiastic. So I have pants and shiny shoes with my shirt and tie and pen in my pocket and that kind of thing. Not realizing that the organization's dress code was much more relaxed. Yeah, so they would wear short sleeve shirts, even jeans. So of course, it's based on the type of organization. So when I walked around the organization on the first day, people kind of watched me like, you gonna get married or what? Right? So it's all based about the type of organization and the norms in terms of dress code. Of course, it pertains to other aspects of behavior, but it also does indicate dress. It also dictates dress. Right? So for instance, if you're going for a job as a project manager in a construction company, it may not be necessary to wear a suit. House style is also similar to norms in terms of the peculiar way in which businesses do things. It varies from company to company, despite what may be stated in here. Each organization has their own, quote unquote, the way we do things around here. So each organization has their own house style, and of course that pertains also to dress and dress codes. Those are some factors to consider as it relates to how you should dress. So of course, students always ask that question, how should I dress for a job at a advertising agency or at a digital marketing agency? Of course, there are various styles that we would look at. So of course, you have the business professional, also referred to as the business formal, and also the business casual. Also take into consideration as well, it is also based on, of course, you know, we live in the Caribbean. So of course, there may be, you know, different variations, different permutations to that. So you have the business professional look and the business formal, and also business casual. So we would look at some examples. So of course, and it also looks at, you know, men and women as well. So of course, the business professional attire, you know, looks at, you know, the suit, the full suit. When we speak about a full suit, we refer to tie, jacket, of course, matching. And neat hairstyle, conservative tie, long sleeve shirt, dark socks, professional shoes. So under no circumstances do you use sneakers. Casual attire, of course, this will vary. This can vary. So of course, in our context, it may be a company polo t-shirt, or, you know, people are, you know, wearing the sweaters and the cardigans and things like that now, collared knit shirt, belt with optional tie, and leather shoes. Or this can also be complemented by a blazer. Right, so that's the difference between the business professional attire and the business casual attire. Right, so these are just some examples. So of course, the business professional in terms of the full suit. Of course, we sticking with darker tones, neutral colors, dark grays, navy blues, black, you know, those types of colors. All right, so the pink suit that you may want to wear for the boat ride, you can't wear that to the interview. Some important factors as well, as it comprises of your kit, so to speak. So, of course, the general rule is that your belt should match your shoes. If you're wearing a brown belt or you're wearing a tan colored belt, you wear a tan pair of dress shoes or black shoes with a black belt, as the case may be, right? Your ties, fabric, have solids. Of course, what is going now are stripes, symmetrical stripes. Of course, solids or patterns. As I mentioned just now, the color of your suit should be, black, dark blue, navy blue, dark brown, gray, and, any variation of that. And your shirts should also be long sleeve and also well ironed. So a lot of people think that because you're wearing it under a jacket, you don't have to iron your whole shirt. Please, of course, you need to, ensure that your shirt is well ironed. Again, another variation of the business formal as it relates to the men. So of course, a full suit means that you're wearing a matching tie as well. Polished leather dress shoes, of course, ties together. Formal attire means a matching tailored suit. All right, so of course you can't wear the jacket that is different to the pants, things like that. I have observed already, persons, for example, you can wear a black suit, but they're different shades of black. And of course, it's very obvious and it does not look professional. So of course, the formal attire means a matching tailored suit. All right, these are some other factors in terms of the professional look, in terms of how your suit should fit. So in terms of the shoulders, the seam lines up exactly with the end of your shoulder. The tie is also the focal point of your suit. The tie tip ends at your belt, so it should not be shorter or it should not be longer. So as a rule of thumb, your tie, the end of your tie hits you directly on your belt. Right? The sleeves shouldn't be too bulky, no excessive fabric. All right, as I mentioned, the belt matches your shoes, break or no little break in the pants, polished, and socks match shoes. All right, we'll speak more about the hygiene factors and so on shortly. And these are just some other factors, right? So these are some of the major components. So of course you should have this as part of your wardrobe, especially if you're going to interviews. So for instance, guys, have a little more flexibility. So you could, for instance, have one suit. So you may have one gray suit or one navy blue suit, but you have different shirts and different ties. So you can mix and match. You can have one suit, for instance. You have different shirts, different ties that will complement that color suit. Yeah. And this just gives an idea of some of the accessories that are used. All right, necktie, dress shirt, your watch, handkerchief, cufflinks, not necessarily, of course, you can use buttons as well, and professional leather dress shoes. Again, this looks at some additional accessories in terms of the men's business formal. So if you look at this image, guys, you would see 3 different looks for the men. So of course, you have the gentleman to my left here in the gray. So that's the full business attire. So that's the formal professional business attire. More relaxed look where you have the shirt and tie without the jacket. And again, to my far right, you have the gentleman with the suit, but no tie. It's also more business casual look as well. So of course, this will be dictated based on the industry, as I mentioned earlier. All right. These are also some examples of that business casual look. So you're going for a job in an industry that is more relaxed, at an advertising agency, for instance, at a digital marketing agency, at a construction company, at a warehouse, at an industrial estate. Of course, the business casual look, it's more recommended. The business casual also relates to that shirt and tie without the jacket. These are just some examples. The shirt and slacks. There are 7 key areas as it relates to dress, whether it's business professional or business casual. These are some important areas. So of course, your tie, hair, suit, your dress shirt, your jewelry, your footwear, and your hygiene are all important. All right, so your tie should have that classic design, classic colors, and should touch the top of your belt, as I mentioned earlier. Your hair should be a simple, conservative hairstyle. Should get a haircut 3 to 5 days or even closer prior to your interview. So it has that clean, crisp, fresh look. Your dress shirt should be crisply ironed. Of course, light pastel colors are recommended in terms of white, light blue. You can have, other light pastel colors as well, light greens, cream, off-white, those type of colors. Your suit should be fitted, but guys, not too fitted. They'd have a thing nowadays where they say that if it's not tight, it's not right, right? But we don't have it too tight, right? So they say now that if it's not tight, it's not right. And if it's slack, carry it back. But still, it should not be too fitted and too tight, all right? So it should be fitted. So it shouldn't look like you borrow a suit from your uncle or from your brother that is too tight or too large. There's nothing that looks more unprofessional than a poorly fitted suit. Right? So if your suit fits poorly, it is better you don't wear a suit and you should just opt for the shirt and tie option. Right? Jewelry should be minimal, especially for men. So you have minimal jewelry, no visible earrings for men. We'd look at that a little later on. So you should just have, like, for example, 1 ring, not 3 and 4 rings. And a watch is acceptable. The footwear should always match your belt, as I mentioned earlier, polished and well maintained. Socks should be calf length and always match with your shoes. Of course, you do not use white socks. That's a given. Of course, we'll speak about hygiene a little later on in terms of, deodorant, fresh breath, avoid strong, overwhelming, overpowering colognes. You should also cover your tattoos and remove piercings, and nails should be neatly trimmed. Some major don'ts, right? So in terms of fit, right? So you see that the don'ts here. So of course, your shirt should always be tucked. These are a mismatch. Things like messy hair, suit that is too small. So of course it is pulling in his stomach area, in the abdomen area. Too long, so it looks like it doesn't fit properly. Pants are too short, doesn't match your jacket. Shoes, socks, not coordinated well. Right? And of course you make sure that your outfit is free of wrinkles and stains. Your hair, your nails are well groomed and polished and so on. Right, some other do's. So of course, yes, guys, I know we're rocking the beard right now. All right, so of course, everybody's into the whole beard game, but your facial hair should still be neat and well groomed. So it should still be neat and trimmed. You avoid busy patterns or distracting patterns. No rolled up pants, no socks. Those things are important as well. I mentioned before, you should cover up tattoos as far as possible. I don't believe that I have to say this, but I still should mention it. You'll be surprised at how some people think that it's appropriate to attend an interview. So of course I shouldn't have to say this, but things like shorts, flip-flops, t-shirts, strapless tops for women. Of course, those are major don'ts. Right, some additional factors to consider. Of course, your clothing should be clean and well ironed. Clothing should, of course, fit properly. Well-groomed hairstyle, cleaned and trimmed fingernails, minimal cologne or none at all. So of course it's not too overpowering or too overwhelming. Of course, that is also very distracting for both yourself and the interviewer, the interviewing panel. Of course, pay attention to things like body odor, perspiration, those types of issues as it relates to hygiene. Take it a little easier on your aftershave. So now you want to try out your Dolce & Gabbana aftershave. But of course, don't overdo it because, again, similar to cologne, it could come across as being overwhelming, right? No visible body piercings or tattoos, right? In face-to-face sessions, that's a question I always like to throw out to students in terms of what is your view on visible piercings or tattoos? Just to give an example, what happens when you speak to someone with a visible piercing? So they have a tongue ring, or an eyebrow piercing, or a cheek piercing. Exactly. So what you find happening is that you only focus on the piercing. So of course it tends to be very distracting. Similar with tattoos. Of course, oral hygiene is important in terms of well-brushed teeth, fresh breath. Of course, you may think that I don't have to mention these things. Of course, things like gum, mints, other objects in your mouth, that's a big no-no. Surprise a person who think it's okay to attend an interview while they're chewing on a matchstick or a toothpick. Really be surprised, all right? Minimal jewelry for men. So of course, remove things like earrings, nose rings, things like that. So you should just have a watch, 1 ring maximum. Portfolio or briefcase is preferred. So guys, no backpacks, no brown envelopes. So you should have a professional portfolio or briefcase, which of course also indicates professional. Always a good idea to pack an extra suit, shirt, tie for emergency situations. So that morning that you decide to order doubles with extra chana. right? Some of it might spill on your tie or spill on your shirt, for example. So of course, that's a big no-no. So you should always pack an extra shirt, tie, just in case of emergency situations, you have a stain or anything like that. Right? So again, similar to what I just mentioned in terms of hair, clothing, facial hair. So yes, it's okay to have facial hair. You can have your beard. You can even have, the gentlemen that have dreadlocks and so on, longer hair, but it should be neat. It should be trimmed. It should be well groomed. So for dreadlocks, for instance, the conservative styles that you can use, for example, as indicated here. So of course you can still have that professional appearance, right? Also to remember, confidence is the most essential outfit to wear to your job interview. So how you conduct yourself, how you project yourself, of course, is a major indication as it relates to your image, your brand, and your profession.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jason. Very, very thought-provoking and good information, in-depth information, good information as well. And guys, there are some things that both presenters mentioned and reiterated. None of the presenters said you don't get your extra piercings if that's your preference, or the tattoos if those are your preferences. However, you must conceal them. They both reiterated. Ensure they are covered, ensure they are concealed. They shouldn't be protruding anywhere. And if your suits are well tailored, they will do the trick. Yes? So now we want to go into our questions for today. Amanda and Jason, I hope you're ready because we have a bit of questions. Again, which we saw it, they're coming to the end of Jason's presentation. The first question addresses appropriate hairstyles to interview. And we want you all to speak in general about that. But this young lady, she says, I'm a young woman with 4C natural hair. And we had a young man that he had a question as well about dreads or long plaits. So if you all could again address in general appropriate hairstyles and speak to the, a couple of years ago, we had an incident at a particular company with looking at the young man's hair and what was appropriate and inappropriate. Yeah. So if you could both just address that issue of hairstyle.
No problem. Well, thanks, Cassie. I will start in terms of hairstyles for female. It really doesn't matter what, in this thing with hair texture, so 4C and whatnot. Once it is professional, when I say professional, I always recommend putting it in a one, whether it's a high one or more so pull it back so that it is, you can see your face. That's what's most important. You can see your face. In terms of length though, of course, if it is you're unable to get it into one, any cane row, anything that you could still have it styled so that it is still back and you could see your face, that is fine. The objective is to just have a mellow, that's my favorite word this afternoon, a mellow hairstyle that is allowing the panel or the interviewer to kind of just see you for you, right? So one, I recommend if you have plaits, again, see if you could probably pull some so that it even if you have it down, it falls more behind your ear rather than down to the side of your face. If you have locks like myself, when I go to interviews, my interview hairstyle is up, whether a high bun or a low bun. That's it. It's a one trick or a two trick pony in that way. Again, when you're in the organization, you could be free to do your hairstyles and whatnot because that's you. But for the interview, mellow. Yeah, so I'll let Jason talk on behalf of the men.
Okay, thank you. So just to add to what Amanda mentioned, of course, you always err on the side of conservatism. All right, so I'm a strong advocate of that. All right, so you try to keep it simple. All right, so I believe in that KISS formula, that KISS acronym as well. Keep it short or just keep it simple. All right. So of course I know, there's a big thing, towards natural hair now. So yes, you can have your natural hair and your dreads and your locks and so on, but you should still try to have it in conservative hairstyles as far as possible. So you can pull it back in one, or, there are also neatly coiffed styles that can be used. All right. This is also industry specific as well. So based on the nature of the industry, so there are still some sectors, especially for men, that frown on long hair, dreadlocks, things like that. So of course, years ago, I don't know if that still applies, but sectors like in the banking sector, the insurance sector, and more corporate sectors would frown on long hair for men. But we're slowly moving away from that. But also mention that, also remember as well, in the Caribbean, we still have very conservative views. Indeed. So as much as we like to feel, yeah, we're in everything and we out there, we're still very conservative as it relates to dress and hair and tattoos and piercings and things like that. Yeah?
Yes. Thanks, Jason and Amanda. Excellent advice. And as Jason said, different organizations, sometimes they have different cultures. One of the things you can probably do is go to the website, see what they are posting about their employees, their perfect employees and so on. Just take a peep into it or do some prior research, drive by and see what you're seeing there. Okay, another question. Is there a specific time period one should expect a recruiter to contact you after an interview? I was called for an interview and was called a month later, indicating I was successful. I dropped off all required documents. However, it's been 3 months and I haven't heard back. What would you advise? Should I continue to be patient or start looking elsewhere? I'll throw that question to Jason first since he's on the screen.
Yeah, sure. So I'll take that question. There's nothing wrong with calling or to follow up after you have an interview. All right. It's also customary at the end of the interview as well. You can actually mention or, throw the question to the panel. How soon can I expect a response? Yeah. All right. So there's nothing wrong with asking that question. And based on, the administrative processes of the organization, they will tell you if it's 2 weeks or a month, as the case may be. All right. Large organizations that interview many people, the process usually takes longer. But as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing wrong with calling to follow up. Of course, you can go call them every day, obviously, but you call every 2 weeks or so, every 3 weeks, just a follow up. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as well. As a matter of fact, that actually shows interest in the job. So that tends to work in your favor.
Excellent. Thanks, Jason. Amanda, anything to add?
I agree. What I will say though, you never stop looking. I know you talk about patience, but you never stop looking. What I realized on this story is very familiar because a client told me something similar. I think COVID, remember, we're all adjusting to this pandemic. Companies who would have been hiring earlier in the year called persons to be who were successful and whatnot. And then everything sort of came to a halt in terms of budgets, who's getting sent home. Guys, it's a harsh reality. And so on that end, yes, I would say to give a call and just find out, you're following up, you were told you were successful and you're very excited to start, right? But if it is you follow up once and then 2 weeks again you follow up and you're not getting, I would definitely say continue your job search, right? Because as we all are adjusting, we don't want to leave anyone hanging, right? So I don't want you to feel that you're just holding on for dear life for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. And I'm glad Amanda touched on that, the issue of COVID. So it may have been 3 months, but prior to that, they were definitely certain they would be hiring, but things change after that. And as Jason
and staff
said,
are also on rotation as well, so
exactly.
That also impacts on, the whole administrative process.
Exactly. Guys, good advice, good advice. Next question. Not sure if I missed this, but how do we maneuver online interviews in terms of preparation, dress, and flow of the interview? Amanda, you want to take that?
Yes, thanks. I'll start. Now, in terms of flow, you will be guided on the flow, right? When you are called to do the interview, they will give you all the details in terms if it's a Zoom link or whatever platform is being used. And, you know, they will let you know what is expected. My advice for you, always dress, as I said before, dress full interview wear. It puts you and sets you in that mood that is a serious business. This is not a class where you can dress halfway, right? Also, remember to look at the camera at all times. Like I'm trying my best to do now. I'm telling you the truth. It is something that you really have to get accustomed to because it feels like you're just talking to, you know, a computer. You're not connecting with anyone. But this is how they see you. The eye contact is really with you and the webcam. So that's my major point. If it is you spend your time looking at yourself, it's really going to feel like a disconnect. Like in real face-to-face, it's going to appear like you're not looking at your interviewer, right? But as I say, in terms of the flow, you are guided on the flow. In terms of how you prepare, practice talking into the camera, practice being that comfortable, you know, record yourself if you must. I recommend that actually. I recommend recording yourself and then looking at it to see your facial expressions and how comfortable you appear, right? There are a lot of resources. Since this happened to us this year, I've seen so many resources because that's, again, our reality now. So, you know, continue to educate yourself, continue to practice for your interviews, as a lot of organizations are opting to do it online, even though we have less restrictions now on face-to-face interactions.
Yes. Jason, anything to add? Okay.
Amanda more or less covered everything. She covered all the key points.
Okay, great. Jason, a student wants to know, would these tips be applicable for interviews in the creative industry? What if I'm interviewing for a fashion magazine or something in graphic arts? Should we stick with these rigid tips?
Excellent question. So with the creative sector, the creative industry, we have a little more leeway. So the creative industry could bring out the colors a little bit, little funky hairstyles. And of course, you know, you can more or less exhibit and demonstrate your personality through your clothing and your hairstyles. So with the creative sector, you have that type of flexibility. I always remember the first time I went to an advertising agency, I was amazed because, you know, coming from that rigid corporate sector, I was amazed at how people were dressed in jeans and casual and, you know, and then, you know, the funky hairstyles and the mohawks. And so, of course, in the creative sector, you have much more flexibility and it's not as rigid as in the corporate sector.
Excellent. Amanda, would cardigans be acceptable as opposed to blazers or jackets? Also, are heels favored to flats for the interviews?
Cardigans, that's a bit of a sore point for me as well, because yes, it is acceptable for work, normal workplace attire, but for the interview, again, you want to make sure you present your best self. You want to come out in your Sunday best, I think, as Jason would have said, you know. And jackets, a blazer is a worthy investment. Trust me, it's really, really a worthy investment. I have it. It really looks polished. Leave the cardigan. I would highly recommend you leave the cardigan for when you already get the job, and you know, you could wear a cardigan however you would like. In terms of the heels,
maybe a casual Friday look.
And a casual Friday look. Thanks. In terms of the heels, so I will give you well, my personal story. I normally have my flats in an extra bag, right? I change into my heels when I go to the interview. So I'll use a washroom before and then I put on my heels because I wouldn't want to be walking up the stairs and whatnot with heels and just trying to get myself in the frame of mind, okay, I'm going to be interviewed. but I highly recommend you put on heels. Again, it depends on the industry though. Some companies are a little more, how to put it? They're a little more flexible in terms of what they allow. Heels just does something for a woman. And even if you are not, you wouldn't consider yourself a feminine, you know, a girly girl or a feminine woman, don't matter what, it really does something. It completes your look. So yes, you could go with your flats. I say have your heels as a spare to change. And, you know, just really make sure whatever it is, make sure that you're comfortable in it enough to interview. Of course, that applies for the in-person interview. For your, for your virtual interviews, still keep on a ballet flats at least, no flip-flops. Ballet flats, fine.
Excellent. Thank you, Amanda. Jason, it's a two-part question, but I'm gonna give you both. When attending interviews, they want to know what kind of bags would you advise? Is it acceptable to carry a neutral colored backpack?
No. I tend to, backpacks convey a casual look. Even laptop backpacks, you know, they're backpacks that you can put your laptop on, so on, and it still communicates a too casual look. So right. I would go more towards a brief bag, and again, dark colors, black or tan or brown, all right, and also those portfolio cases. So they're those, you know, those folders, those leather folders that you know, you can put all your documents, your certificates and things in. So I would recommend that as opposed to the backpack.
Excellent. Again to you, Jason, on the topic of pants, I guess you would know what chinos are. On the topic, right? On the topic of pants, would chinos classify as formal or business casual?
So the chinos are, you know, what they call them dockers as well. So, you know, that's what we call in Trinidad khakis. And you have them in, you know, yes, you have them in the traditional khaki colors, but in the greens and the browns and, you know, and that is considered more business casual. All right, so it's not considered business professional. Business professional is, you know, what we would call quote unquote soft pants in other words. But the chinos / dockers are more that business casual look. So you would wear that, for example, with a shirt, no tie, or you wear it with a shirt and a blazer, that kind of business casual look, right? And again, that would pertain more to sectors that are not that fully corporate sectors.
Okay, excellent. Amanda, again to you, they want to know if smaller hoops are okay, and what about headscarves?
All right, in terms of the hoops, now it's easy to say smaller hoops, but how small is small?
It's relative.
It is relative to your ear and your earlobe, and you know, if it's hanging too much, then it's, I will say no, right? If it's a small hoop and it connects and fits snug in your earlobe, that is fine. But again, as I said, to be safe, a stud earring is always the safest bet. Headscarf, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do not use headscarf. But let me just go back to a question that was asked before pertaining to the creative industries. You have some leeway there. You really do. You have more areas where you can, more freedom to flex your personal style in the creative industries when you go to a job interview. But if you're thinking about a government job, if you're thinking about going to interview to be, to work in the medical field, health field and whatnot, you know, you need to keep it, favorite word again, mellow, strict, professional.
Okay, so Amanda, I'm just playing devil's advocate here in terms of headwear and head wraps. What about in instances where it's based on religious preferences or religious, you know, religious issues?
Yeah, well, good point. Thanks, Jason. If it's religious, of course, that's no exception there. I'm talking about headscarf for style only. Absolutely no.
Yeah, right? Rakabadu look.
Yes, which I love, but of course it's not for the interview.
Oh yeah,
Right?
as you mentioned, Amanda, time and place.
Yes,
Time and place.
time and place, time and place. And speaking of that, I remember there was a session we facilitated once, and there was a young lady with a medical issue. And so she had to have a particular medication to use on her hair and in her scalp. And so she came with the hair wrapped. Could you kind of walk them through how they would navigate that particular incident? Because what we told her, I don't know if Miss Mitchell remembered, what we were telling her is you can't just go with it and not say anything, because they'll just assume that you don't know how to dress appropriately for the interview. How would you advise students to navigate that if for a medical reason, she must have her hair wrapped?
Be candid, be honest, be upfront, and, let them know at the beginning of the interview, the purpose for the head wrap or the head, if it's for medical reasons or even if it's religious reasons. So of course you can, be candid with the panel or the interviewer and let them know that upfront.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
Excellent. Would you say Casual Friday is something more Caribbean? Is this a reality in international organizations?
It is a reality, actually. It's called different things, but it is a reality. To dress down on a Friday. But again, you have to bear in mind your organization, because even though it's a casual Friday, if your organization is not with that that trend, please don't do it. Yeah, dress as how you will normally dress during the week, but it is a reality internationally.
And somebody wanted to know, Amanda, some advice for business.
There are still limitations within the Casual Friday.
Yes. And sometimes differences as well, even between offices in the same organizations. Yeah, so it's for you to do that type of research. And Amanda, someone wanted a little advice on business casual.
Right. I don't know if you're all hearing me just now, but I also mentioned that there are also limitations within business casual.
Yeah.
So again, you have to do your research, know the organization.
Yeah.
So for instance, some companies may have a casual Friday, but you have to wear the company's polo t-shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you can't wear jeans. You can't wear open-toe shoes for women.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to, take those factors. And that is what I mentioned earlier when I spoke about norms and house style. So those things must be taken into consideration.
Yep. Yeah. So was the question, Kathy, was the question in terms of is business casual allowed on a Friday? What exactly?
No, yes, in general, as opposed to business formal, they want to know what type of attire would be considered business casual. Not the dress down Friday, but just in general, yeah.
I honestly think cardigans are business casual. I think shirts, just regular shirts, are business casual. Anytime you think professional, you think more the jackets and the blazers, right? In terms of the dresses, if it's a cap sleeve, I would consider that a business casual look as well for females, right? Again, it's really how you dress it up. So for example, I know from very young, I always had a fascination with scarves. And it was a fascination with flight attendants, right? Or BWIA, back then, that's what it was. So this is how I will dress up something that would normally be business casual. If I have a dress, I will dress it up with a scarf. I will put on some pearls and whatnot. So for females, there are ways that you have that flexibility to accessorize an outfit so that it doesn't look too casual.
Excellent. So this is an IT student, and an IT student is thinking about his laptop. They can't separate from their IT tools. So he or she is wondering, should I carry a laptop to the interview? Is it too chunky? Especially if it's not advised to carry a backpack.
Please leave your laptop at home or in your car. if you drive, you know, unless the interview calls for you to make a presentation or do an exam where you have to use your laptop on, you know what I mean? But if it is you don't need to do anything practical, you don't need to carry a laptop to the interview room. Jason, what are your thoughts on that?
Agreed, unless it's an assessment center type setting where you have to do some sort of, you know, but if it is not needed, then you don't need to carry it.
So in this case, it's not a status symbol.
No.
Is all black appropriate, or should you add a pop of color for the interview?
Now, again, it depends on the organization that you're going for the interview. All black really does come across as in, you know, all business, no nonsense, but it could also make you look a little dull. I say definitely a bit of color. And when I say all black, your pants and your jacket or your pants and your skirt all black, but your inner piece can be a color, and the color can be blue, possibly a green, depending on the shade of green. You can add a subtle pop of color. But all black, you know, if it is you're going for certain jobs, legal assistants, certain ministries, you really have to study your industry to know where that will be acceptable or recommended.
And students, I hope you're hearing, they are continuing to reiterate, do your research. It's very important to do your research. Okay, so I'm going to direct this to both Amanda and Jason again. These students keep asking about bags, backpacks. So sometimes you have someone that use these things as crutches, yeah? So both Amanda and Jason, if there's a student that's panicking now, they're anxious because they must use this bag, what type or size of bag would you recommend, Amanda, for the ladies? And Jason, what would you recommend for the young men? Amanda?
Okay, yeah, I will go. For ladies, now if you're carrying a laptop bag, laptop is, you know, that standard size, and you have, let that be your only bag. And I'll tell you why. You don't want to come in with a handbag and your laptop bag and all these things that you have to set up yourself and could be a possible distraction, add to your anxiety, you know? So I recommend using one bag. In terms of the size, you will want to have a bag that is big enough where you could put your files with your certificates, right? Because you walk with that in case, a copy of your resume. So normal letter size, if it is, once it fits into the bag and you could use that bag, fine. If you're using a laptop bag, let that laptop bag be your only extension. That's the only thing that you're carrying to the room. Yeah, that's my advice for the ladies. But I would please, no backpacks. Definitely no backpacks, I would say. Keep to your handbags, and if you need to bring your laptop bag, or some persons have these really fancy briefcases, it should be a standard size, letter size, where your documents could fit safely in.
They have, I think they call it Jason a purse. It's like a purse for a man, a man's purse.
Yeah, but
you want it?
No, but those tend to be much smaller, so they're not usually they're not suitable for interviews because they can't really hold documents and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. And don't, you know, they have it sling.
Yeah, no, yeah, like the messenger bags and so on. That, you know, that again, it doesn't indicate professionalism.
Exactly.
It doesn't indicate professionalism. Yeah. And as far as I mentioned before, you know, you stay away from the brown envelopes and the, you know, things like that. So
guys, you hear that? Those envelopes. That's an appropriate carrier. Okay, excellent.
I've actually seen people go to interviews with the, you know, that TT Post, the TT Post envelope that you get your documents in. I've seen people go to, again, very unprofessional.
Guys, so, you know, and this is what we keep telling the students, you know, recruiters are sometimes very, very meticulous. And so you want to ensure that you cover the spectrum of recruiters. There's a recruiter that will really just focus in on how you articulate your skills. But we know that recruiters, when we are doing the mock interviews, there are recruiters that are going to report that the belt did not match the shoe, or that you didn't have the socks on, a pair of socks. So some recruiters are very meticulous, and you want to ensure, as Amanda said, that you remain mellow, that you're able to cross that spectrum when you sit in front of a panel, and you don't make any of them uncomfortable or give them an opportunity to say, this is where I'm going to focus in on. Yeah? Okay, great. So excellent questions. I'm not seeing any new questions. So I'm just going to ask both Jason, as you're on the spotlight, and then Amanda, any closing tips, any closing points before we go off?
Okay, guys, just to share, again, in many instances when you're in doubt in terms of what to wear or, you know, colors and things like that, it is always wise to err on the side of conservatism. It is better to be much more conservative than too relaxed, all right? And of course, in that instance, you will still maintain that level of professionalism. Again, it is also wise to do research on your organization. Of course, you know, Trinidad is a sort of a microcosm. So somebody knows somebody who works at that organization.
Yes.
So they can give you a little heads up. They can give you a little insight in terms of the dress code, what the culture is like. And of course, that can also dictate how you dress for the interview. Yeah?
Excellent. Thanks,
again,
Jason.
thanks again.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Kathy. Well, I saw one question, so I'll just address that quickly in terms of the color of your handbag. My tip is your handbag should be the same color of your shoes, if as much as possible. So whatever heels or ballet flats you're wearing, it should match your handbag. Blue, brown, navy blue, brown, black. So no pinks, no white, nothing too loud again. You want to keep it tone, and you want to let you be the focal point, not your accessory, right? General tips, I can't say it enough, as Kathy is saying it as well. Research, research, research. Yes, some organizations are a bit more flexible in terms of what will be acceptable interview wear. But as the older persons, our grandparents always say, dress Sunday best. Dress for the job that you want, not for the job that you have or don't have. Yeah. And you want to really put your best foot forward. So again, yes, you have your personal style, and that is great. This is good that you have that sense of style at this age. But remember, at the interview, your focus, they should be focused only on what it is you can bring to the table, what you can do bring to the organization, and based on what you communicate with them. Your clothes, your accessories should not be louder than you and your skills.
Okay, great. Excellent. Excellent. Guys, before you slip out, remember, follow the links in the chat to request your one-on-one resume critique. And also remember to register for the program and to complete our session evaluation. Jason and Amanda, I really, really wanted to thank you all for this exciting, engaging, and informative session. I mean, the answers were right on point, the information that you provided. I do not think that there's one student on this session that can say they do not know how to dress for that interview. I think you all covered everything. And I really want to say, on behalf of our sponsor, Republic Bank and the University of the West Indies, thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules. You both, I know, are probably very busy at this time with additional clients, but you took the time to come and give back to your alma mater. We just put in something there for that. And so I want to say, on behalf of the team, on the session today. Thank you all so much. I was really engaged, and I have no doubt that the students were as well. So keep safe, keep well, and based on the presentation today, I know I'll definitely be seeing or hearing from you all again. So enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you all so much. Thank you, students, for coming out as well.
Thanks, students.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.